SA, what do you think? Should Jokic have won his third most valuable player award?
No, I don't feel that way. I have a vote. He did not get my vote. My vote went to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who I think should have been the worthy recipient of this award. I want to say this about Nikola Jokic because I don't want people to misunderstand. He is great. He's phenomenal. He's a champion. I think he's got the best commercial out there with the Despicable Me characters and the therapist. I think it's absolutely hilarious. Great personality, great ambassador, global ambassador for the game of basketball. And I'm happy for him because I'm not trying to imply that he doesn't deserve it, that he's not worthy of such acclaim and such honor. What I'm saying is there's a brother this year that I think has been vastly ignored. I know he finished number 2 in the voting, but I still feel that he hasn't been appreciated enough. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I think he's like 25 years of age, 24, 25 years of age. He was the 3rd leading scorer in the league this year, averaging 30. He scored over 30, more than 50 games this year. He was the 3rd leading scorer in the league. He's one of the top leaders in the league in steals, field goal percentage shooting, etc. The Oklahoma City Thunder are one of the top 2 youngest teams in the entire NBA. And they were the number 1 seed in the West. Number 1. They got the number 1 seed. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has everything to do with that. And when you consider his youth, when you consider what the fake accounts reminded us of the other day when Danilo Gallinari and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, along with 6 first-round picks, were traded in order for them, the Clippers, to acquire Paul George. And you see what this brother is doing on the basketball court. We know about the greatness of Jokic. We know that when you're the champion, everybody's giving you their A game. We get all of that. We understand it. We know Jeff Green and Bruce Brown have gone and it's compromised their bench, which put more of an onus on the starters. We get all of that too. But this is a regular season award. And when you consider what Shai Gilgeous-Alexander meant to the Oklahoma City Thunder, how young they are in the process, how he's galvanized those boys, he's played a role in galvanizing those boys. He is their clear, unapologetic leader. And you see what he has done and what this team looks like. I don't see how he didn't get this award. He deserved it. And I think that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander should have been the MVP. We should have been talking about him this morning as the league MVP.
Stephen A., we didn't agree in the last segment. We agree on this segment. I'm 100% on board. I don't have a vote. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander would have gotten my vote. You mentioned him averaging 30 points per game. He did that at 54% from the field. No other guard in the league this season averaged more than 20 points per game at 50% from the field. No other guard was able to do it. And Shanae, one thing you said earlier, and I love this for Jokic, which Jokic is phenomenal. You said he's the system. You can have a system in place, but you have to have the engine to get going. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was the engine for a very young OKC team, just like Stephen A. Smith just said to me, what he was able to do. He had 32 games where he had over 30 points and multiple steals. No other team was within 9 of those type of games. It's not close. The things he was able to do on both ends of the floor, which we talk about when it comes to MVP impacting both ends of the floor, 30 points per game, leading this young team, he would have been the MVP in my opinion.
Look, it's really difficult, particularly when we talk about MVP being awarded because of the timing, because a lot of people are shocked that the Denver Nuggets are down 0-2 to the Timberwolves. They thought that, even more shocked that it was a blowout in game 2. What made me vote for Nikola Jokic was as tremendous as Shai has had in this season. And I think the more you talk about it, it makes me feel like, oh, I'm just so more mad. Jokic, the way that he plays, he could choose to average 30 or 32 if he wanted to. But he chooses to average closer to a triple-double because he is the engine on this offense. I mentioned system before because we joke and we say last time we heard this was James Harden saying, I'm the system. Jokic is truly the system. 26, people questioned his defense. He responded by averaging 12 rebounds and 9 assists. He's 1 assist shy of averaging a triple-double. That is a conscious choice. He generates probably around 40 to 45% of the Denver Nuggets offense. And we're seeing what it looks like when he does not have his best games. They can't really win. They can't really find ways to be successful. Overall, he is top 5 in not only points, rebounds, and assists as a center. He has led those categories for the last 7 years for the Denver Nuggets and brought them a championship last year. What we're seeing the last 2 games, I think, is an anomaly. It is a shock. They have started games slow all postseason. They went versus a Lakers squad that did not have a good offense. Now they're going up against a Timberwolves squad whose offense is peaking and his defense is wildly unseen before. But still, it remains that I believe the impact that Jokic has on the game overall, while he does play to his strengths with the people around him between Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray and Aaron Gordon in that dunker spot, at the time, during the regular season, they finished with the same record as OKC, and I saw him as the most impactful player in that system based off of what he generates, whether it is rebounds, assisting, and 26 points per game. It is a conscious choice by him. We've seen him drop 40. We saw what he did to the Celtics when he went home. He was like, hey, guys, everyone's saying it's the Celtics time. He's like, hold up, wait a minute. You know, we've seen those key moments. At the time, it really felt, it still remains to be Jokic. And I do think he's deserving of 3 MVPs because he's been that revolutionary. I mean, the last few MVPs have been the most skilled centers we have ever seen, and that's largely through Jokic's blueprint.
Look, it's tough for me because I think both players are phenomenal. The fact that even, let's give a shout out to Jalen Brunson. They finished top 5 as well for a small guard. He deserved it. You know, let's take it one layer deeper. I would have chosen SGA, even though I'm okay with it being Jokic. I do think it's fascinating, though, because there's been a narrative going around the league over the last several years that Michael Jordan should have won the MVP way more than what he wanted, right? LeBron James should have won the MVP way more than how many he actually wanted. And now living in the era of centers and the skilled centers like Chiney just talked about, like I do think there is a little bit of over-indexing now towards a guy like the Joker.
Yes.
Because of the fact that we just coming off all these series of conversations that these guys should have won it more than what they should have won it, right? So like I see, and this is a subjective award, but it leads to the question of why Joker definitively over SGA. When you look at the number of votes, like that was actually shocking to me. That's way more of the conversation that I'm leaning into. Why was it so definitive that Joker had so many more votes and people didn't recognize the greatness of SGA? Because I think it should have been a lot closer than what the votes actually
Because he
showed.
was rivaling Luka, and sometimes you split your votes based off of position, right, Stephen A? Because when Luka is pacing the league and scoring, and then you have SGA doing so well with 30-point games, I think in some ways, based off of the rhetoric of centers being so skilled, they split votes.
Here's the part that I don't like the most. When you talk about he could have done whatever he wants to do, I want you to think boxing, because you know a little thing or two about boxing. And I want you to think about it this way, okay? Remember when Tyson Fury fought Deontay Wilder for the third time?
My favorite
But check this out. In the press conference leading up to it, when Deontay Wilder had the headphones on and Tyson Fury was annoyed because he flew across the ocean for the press conference and Deontay Wilder didn't want to talk to promote the fight, he said, here's what's going to happen. He said, I'm going to come into the fight about 35 to 40 pounds heavier. He said, he can't fight. He can only punch. He said, so he's going to be there as a target. But even when I miss him, I'm going to lean on him. And by the 3rd or the 4th round, he's not going to have any legs. And he's going to be a stationary target there to be had because he said, I'm going to do this. And this is what he said. He said, and yes, I can say it. You know why I can say it? Because he's too stupid to do anything about it. That's what he said. I don't feel that way about Deontay Wilder, but that's what Tyson Fury said. And sure enough, he went into the damn ring. Am I lying, Chiney? And that's exactly what he did. That's exactly what he did. Came in around 35 to 40 pounds heavier. Even when he missed, he was leaning on him. You understand what I'm saying? That girth, that weight. I'm bringing that up because that's who I think about when I think about Jokic. I think about a dude that can't jump onto a curb, but he's smart, he's skilled, the footwork is sublime, the IQ is there, he knows what he's doing, and he just leans on you and just bodies you up, and you see people just falling all over the place because he's strong. He got that real man strength, that girth, and he leaning on you and all of this other stuff. That's Jokic. Let me tell you, SGA, Steph Curry is in the Western Conference. Okay, Luka Doncic is in the Western Conference. Kyrie Irving is in the Western Conference. I'm looking at these. Anthony Edwards is in the Western Conference. You understand? I'm like LeBron James and these peeps. They in the Western Conference. Paul George and Kawhi Leonard and James Harden in the Western Conference. In the East, you got Brunson. You got Tatum. You see these people. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander simply went out there and averaged 30, scored over 30, 50 times, shot 53.5% from the field. Only him and Michael Jordan had averaged 30 with 2 steals per game in NBA history. Okay, they got the #1 seed in the West. They won 57 games on the second youngest team in the league. And I'm looking at them and I'm saying, wait a minute now. Jokic, they ain't too many big boys. Like Embiid, if he healthy, that's about it. But when you look at the bodies at the guard spot that you can look to, and how Shai Gilgeous-Alexander elevated above all of them. I'm like, wait a minute. I can't ignore that. I understand what you're saying about Jokic, Chiney. But in the end, when I'm looking at this brother and the competition that he has at that spot and him outshining everybody en route to being a #1 seed with the best record in the Western Conference, we should be sitting here today honoring Shai Gilgeous-Alexander as the league MVP.
But
the only thing bad about SGA is that damn commercial he got with his teammates where they sing.
Stephen A, really quick, because you started this with boxing, and that fight was our second date, by the way. And I'm just spilling a little tea. And what I learned from that fight was, even though Tyson Fury won based off of his weight, a lot of people gave a lot of respect to Deontay Wilder for always getting back up and always throwing punches and having the endurance. And even though SGA might have lost the MVP, he's earned a lot of people's respect along the way. Okay?
I'm just saying he deserves the MVP.
Can I say something real quick? This is part of the media's problem, though. I put a lot of this on the media. When do you hear the media talk about SGA? Other than when it comes up, when did the media talk about Oklahoma City? Like, we're forced to talk about Luka. There were some people on TV a couple years ago fighting to talk about Nikola Jokic deserving to be the MVP because nobody wanted to talk about it.
Oh, big
nobody
market.
wanted to talk about it.
Big market,
we give Luka preseason MVP every damn year. All we do is talk about offensive highlights of Luka. The media doesn't really push SGA. So that's a little bit on the media now,
you would say, well, I'm not taking on this.
I'm not saying you.
I know that because, we #1, baby. And so when we talked about SGA, we talked about him. Matter of fact, I think First Take deserves credit for him being #2. I think if it wasn't for this show, he would have been lower.
First of all, he takes credit for everything, right, Molly? Like, everything gets credit, right?
Not everything.
Stephen A. But shout out. This show is making records in history, and so shout out to First Take. You are absolutely right.
No, shout out to y'all. Shout out to all of y'all. We wouldn't be in this position if it wasn't for all of y'all and the great producers that we have on the show.
And all y'all at home.